Hi everyone, today we'll be talking about the importance of mental health among teenagers. I chose a topic today because I feel like it's not nearly talked about enough. Yes, it is talked about now recently, and that's a huge improvement to how it used to be, but I still feel like it's a huge issue that still needs to be resolved, and it needs to be more common and accepted. And I think the reason why it's not fully accepted is because of parents. Parents usually, well, my parents specifically, and other people's parents that I know, Hispanic especially, don't believe in therapy or depression and anxiety. And I'm just here to hopefully change your mind about that if you got those thoughts. Like I know I did. I used to think that anxiety and depression didn't matter, and I was just going to brush it off and I didn't need to worry about it. But in reality, that's so far from the truth. It's very far from the truth, and I think it needs to be talked about enough. So hopefully my goal is today to inform you a little bit more about it. Every day, more and more teens are silently fighting with depression and anxiety, and the worst part is that they are doing it alone. As a teenager myself, I've seen it. I've watched friends struggle. I've experienced it myself plenty of times. I felt the weight of anxiety pressing down on my chest, and I know I'm definitely not alone in that. Teen mental health isn't something that some of us deal with. It is a crisis, a growing one that we can't afford to ignore. In the last decade, teen depression and anxiety has skyrocketed. Social media constantly compares us to impossible standards. Definitely. Social media can create very false narratives that are very toxic to some, and it's just so easy to get wrapped up in social media and glamorizing it and not really focusing on the reality of it all. Also, with academic pressure, it's very overwhelming. I would know, especially. And on with this, we are expected to just smile and keep going, and I think that that's not okay. We need to take time and all focus on the situation and bring more awareness to it, like I've previously stated. Let me share some facts. According to the National Mental Health, nearly 1 in 5 teens experience major depression. Anxiety disorders are the most common mental illness among teens in the USA, and so many of them are suffering silently because of shame, fear, and not knowing where to turn to help. And that's true. I mean, it's hard to find those resources, especially when they're not super easily accessible. And it doesn't stop there. Untreated mental illness can lead to things like bad grades, substance abuse, self-harm, and in the worst cases, even suicide. Unfortunately, that is the harsh reality of it all. I think that we should all include more programs and clubs that can help us connect with each other, like peer support, emotional wellness, and even safe spaces to breathe. Schools need more counselors. Therapy should be more affordable and accessible to all of us and not just a lucky few. And on top of all this, I still believe that we need to educate parents about this issue. I think if parents can spot the signs of depression or anxiety, then it'll be easier, because some parents, they don't really know. As a teenager, your parents are not the biggest part of your life anymore. So I think it's important for parents to really educate themselves on that, and not so they also don't just brush it off as just common teen stuff, as my mom would say. Now imagine if we all did this. Imagine if schools were to feel safe and supported, where reaching out is brave and not embarrassing, where lives are actually saved because someone cared enough to act. But if we don't do anything, if we keep scrolling past, pretending everything's fine, then the crisis will just continue to keep growing. And that's the unfortunate reality of it. More teens continue to suffer in silence, and we risk losing more of our generation to something that is completely and totally preventable. Ignoring teen mental health, I would compare it to a fire alarm. That you don't see flames yet, but the smoke is there, and there are warning signs. But if you wait too long, it might be too late. So some of the things you can do is start small, talk openly about mental health with the people in your life, support school or community mental health efforts, I know now, like I previously stated, there are more efforts, and I think it's great if more people would get involved with that. Share resources. There's plenty available. There is crisis lines, different apps, or even just a listening ear. Anyone really. Your cat. My cat listens to me all the time. I'm sure he's tired of me. But, and most importantly, I think everyone should check up on their friends and not just, how are you? And they just say, oh, good. No, that's not enough. What I do with my friends, I usually say, you know, how are you? And they're like, oh, good. I'm just like, how are you really? Because I know half the time people just put on a facade of good and yeah, okay, but in reality, that's not how it is. And I like the people I love to feel cared for, and I want them to feel heard, and I believe you can do that too. So picture this, a world where every teen feels safe enough to ask for help, where there's actually help waiting for them on the other side. And that world, I believe, starts with us. We can all do things to improve this effort and just recognize the need and not stay silent. And yes, thank you for your time. Have a great day.